welcome to today's live stream. My name is Alina and this is my YouTube channel where I'm talking about personal and spiritual growth, coaching and immigration. I wasn't filming lately for a while and I'm thinking a little bit to change the channel, so I'm planning to uh, make live streams based on your questions. So please feel free to write me questions in a comment section under this live stream, and also you can always write me a private message on Instagram or write me an email at alina.miropolsky@gmail.com, wherever works for you, wherever you feel more comfortable. And of course I will not post your private information like name or email online. I will not post it. So what I want to talk about today is employment and immigration. So when we are immigrating, I will be giving example probably about United States and Israel because those are two countries I'm more knowledgeable about. But of course it's totally applicable to other countries, and this is something more or less universal information that you can use in most of the countries, I think. So when you're immigrating and you have a legal status and you're allowed to work in a new country where you move to, where should you start? It depends on two major things in the very beginning. When I'm talking about coaching, I'm always talking about in decision-making coaching, I'm always talking about where to start, and then we go to details. So the most, like the biggest two chunks of information that we need to know is the language and the license. So the first thing, do you speak the language of that country where are you moving to, where you moved to already? And of course I'm talking only about cases where you are legal immigrant or it's a working visa, wherever. You have a legal right to work in that country, of course. So the first thing is language, and another thing is license. So if you know the language and you don't need the license, you more or less can work anywhere you want, everywhere you prefer to work, and depends on your education, your previous experience, that will be helping you to find employment not less than in your home country. Maybe you will start with a little less wage in the first year, for example, or something like that, or the first job you'll get, but more or less if you know the language and you don't need the license, you can work wherever you want, depending on your experience and your education and your knowledge. Okay, so situation is getting a little more complicated when you don't know the language of the country where you're moving or you move to. But for example, if you speak English, and this video is in English, so definitely you do speak English, in some cases it helps, but be aware it doesn't help in 100% of cases. Sometimes English speakers are feeling very confident and believe that, oh, I speak English, I'll be fine wherever I go, I will find job, I'll be fine, I don't need to learn a new language. And it's a very common mistake, and you need to know that your options will be much more limited than options of a person that speaks the local language, the official language. And anyway, you can find some jobs, for example, in international companies that are working in English. There are some companies all over the world that they prefer even the communication between the employees will be in English and all the official emails will be in English. But it makes a very limited choices, like you need to find those specific companies. And also many companies that even prefer the official communication like emails in English, or I don't know, group chats like in Teams in English, but still people between them do speak the language of the country, and they, like, you will have some tension with your co-workers or some it will be hard to become a part of the team when they all speak, for example, Italian or Hebrew or French, and you speak English. You're the only one English speaker, and they need like to speak English for you because you will not understand them otherwise. You know what I mean? So it can be a problem, and I highly recommend to learn the local language as soon as possible. But still, you will have some options to find employment if you're more or less fluent in English. I will give like a fun example. Even for a waitress, I remember that I went to an Irish pub in Tel Aviv, Israel, and one of the waitresses, she didn't speak any Hebrew. She was from England, and she had like a work permit to work in Israel for a while. I don't know how she got it, so I'm not going to describe all the legal stuff. It's really not my professional area. But what is fun that it actually even added to the atmosphere of the Irish pub. That she's like English speaker, but of course the options will be limited, and you need to be aware of it. And sometimes there are companies that will say, okay, you can start with English, for example, but we'll give you, for example, a year to learn our language, and then we will stop like translating for you and giving you this special treatment. So keep it in mind and learn the language of the country where I am moving to. Talking about the professions that require a license, be aware that some countries will accept your license. For example, I know that Israeli doctors can work in New Zealand without making New Zealand medical license, which is interesting. So you can check what are your options and what can you do with your license and in what countries. In most of countries, you need to renew your license. You need to get local license. For example, if you're an electrical engineer, if you're working with plumbing, if you're a doctor, a nurse, it's also like the first professions that are in my mind. Also, for example, I know that in United States and in Canada, even if you're a hairstylist or nail artist, you need license, and it can be very surprising for some people from some countries where any license are not required. So check. It's better to check, do you need license before you move, so you'll be at least mentally prepared to this coming. This is what I wanted to say. Also, you need to be aware that the resume will look different in different countries. For example, in East European countries, it's pretty common to put a photo in your resume and to add some, design or even quotes to resume. That a resume looks more like a flyer, for example, which will be very weird in United States and Canada or in Israel. So keep all those factors in mind. Also think about the dress code, what is more appropriate to wear in what countries. Of course, I'm all in the topic of diversity and inclusion, and it will be great if people will like accept and respect different people with different cultures and understand that they are wearing some things, they have specific clothing because this is part of their culture and their tradition and their country. But unfortunately, at least for now, we cannot expect that all potential employers, as all potential employees will be okay with it. So you need to know that you're going to employer, you're going to meet other employees, your co-workers, and if you're wearing something that is very unusual, we know how people will react both on the interview and both when you start working. So just keep it in mind. So this is the first basic information to think about and to check that I recommend you to start with. and I wish you a lot of good luck. If you have any questions about personal spiritual growth, coaching, decision-making processes, and immigration, please write me and I'll include it in my next live stream. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to see the notifications. Bye bye.